A very good afternoon to one and all present here, respected members of the jury, fellow participants and the audience. I, Assistant Commandant NARENDER, would like to speak in favor of the motion. A lot has been discussed about the constitutional as well as the legal provisions and the institutions set up to protect human rights in the country. So let me jump into directly defending in favor of the motion. Firstly, let us talk about the constitutional and the legal provisions. The major problem is lack of implementation by the state governments. State human rights commissions have been instituted by the state governments very lately. Even now, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland and Mizoram still don't have the state human rights commission. So we can't say that the provisions and the legal framework and the institutions are not insufficient. What the problem lies in the implementation. Nextly, we can discuss about the district human rights courts. They are still not being set up by the state governments. Is it a problem of insufficiency? No, it is a problem of implementation. The human rights can be upheld at the district level itself, which can seriously reduce the burden at the national level. It is a very powerful tool to protect human rights in the nation, which can herald us in a new era of human rights protection in India. Nextly, the National Human Rights Commission is being criticized as being a recommendatory body. But as previous NHRC member Justice V.S. Mallimat has said, it is wrong to say that the National Human Rights Commission is powerless. Even though it is a recommendatory and advisory body, but the central government has to take into consideration the cases put forward by the Commission. No government can just simply ignore the recommendations of the Commission. But even then, my opposition participants keep on just criticizing the Human Rights Commission about its insufficiencies. But what do we want? Do we want an all-pervasive, all-powerful organization which supersedes even the parliament and the judiciary and the able administration of the country? Do we want an authoritarian or a draconian organization? No. We must understand that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. India is a democracy and we believe in the separation of powers. All the different arms of the government must work in harmony and must do their work faithfully, upholding the human rights of the citizens of the country. And lastly, we must also know that the laws that are there to protect human rights in the countries firstly include the constitution of the country. The constitution is the longest written constitution. So can we say that it is insufficient? We can't say that. The ambit of the fundamental rights in the constitution, if it is properly read, the ambit is much wider than the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948. But we must also understand that too many laws will just be creating legal loopholes for the implementation of human rights in the country. It is said that too many cooks spoil the broth. So too many laws will make us deviate from the core issue of human rights. We must also know that it is rightly said by a Roman historian, Tacitus, that the more corrupt the nation, the more numerous the laws. More laws are not the solution for human rights. We must understand that we are a democracy, and in our democracy we are blessed with a judiciary which follows the due process of law rather than the procedure established by law. The Indian judiciary keeps on giving us new paradigms and new dimensions to the social issues and making us more aware about the human rights in the country. And finally, we must understand that when we do not follow the legal provisions and the institutions provided to uphold the human rights, we do not break the law, we break ourselves against the law. That is the case. And finally, no amount of legal provisions, legal frameworks and institutions are provided to uphold the human rights in the country unless and until we have a firm determination of upholding the human dignity and values. We cannot protect human rights in the country. The society at large, the political elite, the civil and police administration, the media, the NGOs, the civil society,